That was Richard Burdick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. He was my mentee from his Unity of Atlanta. I mentored him through the field licensing program. We actually met, we were ordained together in the interfaith program a lot of years ago. We're talking about the songwriter of that song. And Richard's pretty wonderful. And I'm grateful to, I'll have to let him know this week, we brought him to Norwalk. So, shine your light with gratitude. Let your light so shine with gratitude, the talk is. Let your light shine with gratitude because we are instructed to let our light shine. Why? Why would we let our light shine? Now, I was taught that my life was to be one of service when I first started my healing. Didn't say drudgery. Nobody told me I had to live a life of drudgery, to live a life of service. Nobody back then even told me I was going to be a minister. Believe me, there was no hint of such a thing when I started my journey. Some people I work with said, I don't want to be a minister. I said, nobody said you had to be. You're not getting a call to that I know of. And so don't worry about that, but you can be a better person and you can shine the light of God wherever you are. My friend Joy, many years ago when she first started studying at Butterworth Church, Unity of, what the heck is that one called? It's the one on 58th Street. And the minister that day who was teaching the class said, your job is to be the light of God at work. And she took it literally. And she went to work that night and became the light of God in her typing job. Down at World Trade Center, she became the light of God at work. That's how she understood it. Because she didn't like her job before that day. She didn't like going there. She didn't want to be there. She was a little resentful that she even had to work. And that night, she became the light of God at work, and she started to like her job, and she started to like the people she worked with. And for years, until 9/10 of 2001, she went there 5 nights a week and had a great time. And she missed it after that. She's since created a great life for herself. But it's you could take it literally, you could take it figuratively. But light is the revelation of good. And what's the best way to get light?
Gratitude.
Give it out.
Yeah. Or
Sing it out.
Or what's the traditional way to get light?
Strike a match.
Flip the switch.
Oh.
Gotta flip the switch. And so to go within and say, what's my switch? What is the switch that will turn on my light? A thought. A thought will turn on my light. And then that will let my light shine where my passions are the greatest and which will serve in the greatest way so that everyone can see my light. And it's not to show my light to show anybody else how good I am. That's already evident. It's to shine my light, to show how possible it is to shine your light. Yeah, keep it simple. Shine your light so that others will see light. And when they see light, they will see the good all around it. If you and I get together for a good gossip session, we're not really flipping the light switch on. At the very least, we're putting it on dim. But let me read this. As you had other plans. So it comes in 3 books of the Bible. But I'm going to do the one from Mark first. It's Mark chapter 4, verse 21. It starts with, and he said to them, is a lamp brought in to be put under a bushel?
No.
Thank you. Or under a bed, or not on a stand. For there is nothing hid except to be made manifest, nor is anything secret except to become to light. If any man has ears to hear, let him hear. And he said to them, take heed what you hear. The measure you give will be the measure you get. And still more, will be given to you. For to him who has will more be given, and from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And that used to be a very confusing passage to me. It's like, what are you talking about? What the heck does that mean? Him who has, more will be given, and him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And so I studied for years, and I listened to my teachers, but let's start with the lamp first. You know, a divine idea should not be hidden away in your diary forever. And a divine inspiration should not be hidden away in a thought or just over cocktails. A divine inspiration needs to be made manifest. And what if your divine inspiration is simply, I am good? What if it's as simple as, I am good? That's where it started for me. Actually, the divine inspiration was, I want to be happy. Or at least happier than I am. You know, at the beginning of healing, it's just anything resembling joy is better than the misery that I was experiencing. And then I got some joy and I wanted more. And then I began to understand, oh, it's my relationship with God that is giving me this joy and this hope and this sense of possibility. And so I began to share about that with groups. And I found that some enjoyed my sharing and some were not interested in my sharing. Some didn't believe it. That's not possible. You're making that up. But I continued to share because my mentors told me, you share. You raise your hand, you'd be willing to share what's going on with this group. And that was what was going on with me. Others, if they wanted to share their misery, that was their prerogative. But that wasn't what was going on with me. My misery, one person I was a few years into my healing, and somebody said, Shawn, you never have any problems. I said, yes, I do. And I talk about them with my mentor, and then I come share the solution with the group. And he went, oh. And that's what it was, because I was taught that gratitude was the number one thing that would heal me. So I had to start looking in my satchel of life and see what I could be grateful for, to see how things were shifting. And what I found was my misery was shifting. And it was my misery, my pain, my past was starting to look different than it used to. And so I could start to become grateful when people would announce that they were grateful, healing, whatever. And I thought, oh, you are insane. How could you be grateful for that or this, or that we have to meet in this room and talk about these things? And then I found out. And I'll tell you why I found out, or how I found out. I prayed. And I prayed differently than I had as a child. I put away childish things like, oh, please, God, give me. And I began to take on adult attitudes like, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, Shawn. Thank you, life. Thank you. Look what's here that I hadn't been noticing. There had been solutions to these issues, problems, challenges, whatever you want to call them. There had been those solutions available for my entire life, and I hadn't known it. I kept thinking it was their fault. I kept thinking if they hadn't done this, I could be happy. And then I got really pretty grateful, and I thought, oh, they did this. This brought me to here where I could find people to help me heal. Because I needed people who had gone through this to help me heal. And I began to desire healing. Bring it on, God. Show me. Just show me. Whatever it is, whatever the problem is, go ahead and show me. I know there's a solution, so I don't have to be afraid of anything that I see. And it was the most wonderful feeling. I don't have to be afraid of how anybody perceives me. I don't have to, it doesn't mean I won't be uncomfortable, but I don't have to be afraid anymore, as if I will somehow be rendered bad. If somebody has a criticism of me, if somebody's afraid of me, if somebody doesn't like me, if somebody likes me too much, I don't have to be afraid. Oh, it was wonderful. And so, bring it on. And It happened. I heard all sorts of comments. And what I found out is none of them were true. They were all based on somebody else's perception. But when I got the comments, I went within and said, what's the truth here? Show me the light. I kept putting light on the comments rather than hiding my fears or concerns under let's put light on this and let's see it for what it is, so that I don't have to keep thinking you guys are my source, you guys meaning the entire world of opinions. Because I didn't want to keep thinking that somehow your opinion of me was the final word. I didn't even want to think my opinion of me was the final word. I wanted the revelation of what I now call the Christ mind. Back then, I think I just called it the truth. And the truth meaning that which has no opposite. That which has no opinion attached to it. And I was set free for many years. And then I got so well, I began to take on my old stuff all over again. I got so well, and I got into a relationship, and I got a career, and I started driving on a regular basis. I got all sorts of places to have opinions. And I began to hide some of my light. While I felt like I'm revealing all of my light all the time. I mean, I'm on the pulpit every week. I'm working with people. But some of my light I've been hiding. And yesterday I was with a group, and it was a 12-step fellowship. And that 11th step says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of God's will for us. And it's the operative word in that step. And the most horrifying one is only. Because you see, I want to know about some of God's will for me. But I want God to know about some of my will. I want to try to convince God that, well, I should be upset here. And this did happen the way I think it did. And I would like a new car. And I would like this. Praying only for knowledge of God's will for me. I am promised the whole kingdom through my surrender to God's will. Now, just to read this so I don't misquote it. The kingdom of heaven, or more accurately, the kingdom of the heavens, is a state of consciousness in which mind, soul, and body are in harmony with divine mind. Mind, soul, and body are in harmony with divine mind. That's what I'm offered in my surrender. There is no good thing that will be removed from me in my mind, in my body, in my life, in my relationships, by giving over to divine mind, by giving over to principle, to spirit, to law, to God. They are all the same thing. There is no good thing that will be taken from me. However, I'm still a little attached to my misery. And some days not a little. Still attached to the pain. Yeah, and the argument, yeah, but you don't understand, whoever you is I'm talking to. But you don't understand. This happened. We watched a wonderful movie here, well, in my opinion, a wonderful movie here, set Friday night called As a Man Thinketh. Based on James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh, from, 17-something he wrote that?
1902.
Oh, not 18-something?
I thought it was 1878.
1878.
But that book was written in 1902. He was born in 1878.
Oh, okay. It comes from the statement in Proverbs, which as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And we could go with, as a woman thinketh in her heart, so is she. You don't want to leave anybody out here. But this movie the other night, we have 3 copies left over there for sale, and if those 3 run out and you wish to purchase more, just pay your $20 today and we will order more. Just pre-order it and pay in advance, and we'll order a bunch for whoever wants it. I recommend this movie. It's better than any of the others I've seen because it actually filmed a movie of the story, and then all the preachers around it, Edwin Gaines being one of them, gave gave examples of how to heal from this dilemma, this one man who's going through his challenge of self-will run riot to surrender. And it's great how they portray it. And the outcome isn't what necessarily I was rooting for him for. But the outcome still happened, and nothing wrong with the outcome. It just, I don't want to give it away. So I do recommend the movie, but as I thinketh I am, that's what I experience myself as. And that's why it's wise to be conscious of our words and the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. To actually seek the light when looking at ourselves, to look in the mirror and ask for light about this face, about my perceptions of this face, about this body and my perceptions of it, and ask for light as I look at you and you and you and you, to ask for light all the time. And somebody said, well, who am I asking? Well, I'm asking myself for the light. See, the ability to see the light has already been given to me. It was given to me in the beginning, whenever that was. And that was before the Bible started, I promise you. And so that was given to me, the ability to see with light. But the ability to choose darkness is also mine and available to me. To choose the absence of light, that's my power as well. What do you want? Who here, by seeing the truth, meaning seeing in love, seeing in wisdom, has not benefited more than when you chose to stay in the darkness, in the illusion, in the resentment? Who here has benefited more greatly when you have shown light onto a situation, even though you might have been afraid to? But, oh, I'm going to lose. They're going to hurt me. They're going to kill me if I see this as it is. I'm not going to have any money. Nobody's going to like me. I'm going to lose my house, lose my car. I'm going to be ugly. I'm going to be whatever. And what if you said, you know what? So be it. Show me the light. Put light on this. If I lose everything I think is good to get the light, then everything I thought was good wasn't so good. Whatever. I gotta read it again because I get confused. I think I have it here. Take heed what ye hear, and with what measure ye met, it shall be measured unto you, and more shall be given unto you. For he that hath, to him shall be given, and he hath not, from him shall be taken away. It's about spiritual understanding. And what the instruction is, listen up. Keep paying attention to this message. Notice the message in your daily life where it's coming to you from places you had not thought could ever give you the message of light. Because if you don't, what little spiritual understanding you have is going to disappear. It's going to wash away and fall down the drain. And this, I don't say this to scare anyone. I tell us all to do this so that we can have an even better life than what we have imagined. Has anyone here imagined a great life? Yeah. One of my teachers early on in my healing stood in the front of the room and said, God has better things in store for you than anything you could ever imagine. And I thought, anything? Because I can imagine some pretty wild stuff, which I'm not going to list here in the pulpit. And I thought, even better than that, I can't wait to see what that is. And I found out what it is. It was serenity. It was knowing I am still good, even when it's not going the way I had hoped or planned or thought. That I am still good, you are still good, we are still good, even when It's not going the way I thought. That I can be at peace on the hard days. And I can be at peace on the easy days. And on the thrilling days. And that I don't have to relinquish my identity with Source over anything. It's one of the biggest battles in relationship between two individuals who still have thinking minds, is when you catch yourself trying to convince the other one of why your life is bad, and they refuse to go along with you. Or they're trying to convince you of why either you are bad or they are bad or something is bad, and you don't play along with it that day. You don't try to fix them, you just stay silent. It's maddening. Imagine, those of you in relationship, if you didn't try to fix your partner ever. If you just simply allowed them to have their thoughts and feelings, and you didn't correct them, and you didn't get scared. Or at least you didn't let them convince you that you should be scared. Imagine the freedom. Imagine letting the light shine. Imagine somebody sitting in front of you, they're telling you how awful they are, how guilty they are, how ashamed they are, and you just sit small. I know. Yeah. How about that? Sometimes I like to throw a congratulations in there. Congratulations. Good for you. Huh? Do I ever do that? Anyone here? Have I ever told anyone, good for you, when you're struggling the most? And let your light shine with gratitude. What I encourage us all today is to observe our thoughts, to observe our feelings, and ask for light before we make a judgment on them. To look at any events that have come up lately that we like or don't like. What we thought in the world was going to be our salvation, and it turns out, oh, salvation comes from within. And somebody said, yeah, but this is about money, Shawn. Yeah, this is about, no, everything comes from this inner source, not the outer source. I will not solve my life through selfishness, through greed, through avarice, nor will I solve my life through only doing service. I must be in the law of giving and receiving. It can't be, I've got to give it away, give it away, give it away, give it away. You can't outgive God, but at the same time, what are your motives for giving? What are your motives for receiving? Are you letting your light shine? Are you letting your light shine every time you pick up the phone to make a call or to answer the phone? Are you deciding, I'm going to let my light shine, hello? I'm going to only friends call here, hello? I know it's crazy that I'm this behind in this bill, isn't it? I know, my goodness. I know, I'm looking for a solution here. And I'm open to one. Do you have a viable one? Because I'm listening. One friend of mine who was behind at something, and the collection person said, you're this far behind. And the person said, believe me, every day of my life I am aware of this. What I learned from one friend who found a way through all that, he got one piece of advice that was so sound. Be nice to those people when you talk to them. You be kind, you be generous, you be respectful, and they will be on your side. Because they are screamed at every day, many times a day.
Read my book, the story's in there.
I was trying to stay anonymous.
It's my book. It's from my book.
So many people get screamed and hollered at all the time. You can't even yell at a salesperson on the phone anymore because there's not a live person there anymore. So it's, now what do? All you do is yell at yourself or the cat. And
yeah, but you could swear and they won't know.
I I do know that, but you will know. You will know. And that's the ache in the heart. I know when I forget. I know. And sometimes we just seem powerless to remember. Except you came here today. All of you came here today to be reminded to let your light shine with gratitude. So I'm going to ask just a couple of people here, how are you going to let your light shine when you leave here today? Anybody have any thoughts of how you're going to let your light shine when you leave here today? Allie?
In every instance, ask myself, what is the kindest thing I can do in this situation?
Allie said in every instance he's going to ask himself, what is the kindest thing you said? Kindest thing I can think, say, or do in this situation. Anybody else? You know, let your light shine. Patricia.
I'm gonna smile at everyone.
Patricia's going to smile at everyone. Gabe.
Okay, God, tell me what to think of this.
Gabe says, okay, God, tell me what to think of this. And then are you going to listen?
Yes.
Okay. You got to follow through. Yes.
I'm gonna let Michael sleep over tonight.
Okay. She's going to let Michael sleep over tonight. Pillow fight. I'm sorry, what, Teresa?
See the Christ in everybody.
In everybody. Okay, Teresa's going to see the Christ in everybody, including yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, don't ever leave yourself out of the equation. Who else? Are you going to let your light shine? David?
In working on my edit, I'm going to look at all the possible thoughts I could have and pick the one that is most positive and that serves me and that serves everybody.
Beautiful. In his edit, he's going to look for all the possible thoughts and pick the one that best serves all. Who else? Going to let your light shine?
I'm gonna hug and kiss everybody.
Yeah. Boundaries. Boundaries. Ask permission first. Okay, just making sure. Okay, so anybody else doesn't know? Yes, Katie?
Only God thoughts, words, actions, and God stories.
Only God, thoughts, words, actions, and God stories. Beautiful. Anybody else have a plan here to put in place?
Lisa Skowinski back there.
Oh, Lisa.
I am going to remind every student that comes into my office that they are good.
Lisa's going to remind every student that comes into her office that they are good. I am seeking mentors to continue to show me the depths of understanding I can have in this and to see my own stuff in love as opposed to guilt or shame. That's my commitment there. Diane, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm going to be kind to myself because in doing so I'll be kind to others because they are a reflection of me.
Beautiful. And Kenneth, how are you going to let your light shine?
I am a man of power, a man of grace. The life that I've lived in every wrinkle on my face. And I love myself so I can love you too.